Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Bergen. I'm the Director of Communications at the Phelan-McDermid Syndrome Foundation, and I'm super excited to introduce our new Chief Science Officer, Dr. Lauren Schmitt. Today, we're going to get to know Lauren a little bit more with a little video, and over the next couple of weeks and months, we will have different opportunities to connect with her. So let's get to know Lauren. Lauren, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you join the foundation.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, awesome. Well, I'm going to kick it off. We have a couple of questions prepared for Lauren, and I'll start with our first one. What experience have most prepared you for this role at PMSF, personal or professional?
Great question. So, as you know, or maybe you don't know, my background is in clinical psychology, and I've spent the last 7 years roughly at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center doing what I describe as bench to bedside to community research. And so this is a little bit different of a path than most clinical psychologists, I would say. On the bench side, I've collaborated a lot with basic scientists in the lab, really helping establish some clinical relevance to biological molecular assays, and even getting to consult with industry partners for drug and treatment trials. On the bedside side of things, I've helped develop some treatment interventions and conducted some translational research, both in autism as well as Fragile X syndrome, which is another rare genetic disorder. And then on the community side, which I think really ties back to the PMSF specifically, is really developing those community partnerships and collaborations with stakeholders like yourselves. I've helped lead the Fragile X Family Advisory Committee. I've organized family conferences. I've established a monthly research newsletter. So I really think, and I'm hoping all of these kind of things all together kind of tie together and really prepare me for this role.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know that was something during the interview process that really excited me of how many different spaces you've been in. But I think that experience really connects the dots of, understanding those different capacities and how that plays forward to our community.
Yeah.
The next question that we have, what draws you personally, to the Phelan-McDermid syndrome and our community?
Absolutely. So, kind of randomly, about 8 years ago, right as I was finishing graduate school, I had kind of my first interactions with the Phelan-McDermid syndrome community. My mentor at the time was doing some research, and just got to have a little bit exposure of that. And then I had the opportunity to actually attend the McPosium in Orlando, Florida, and I got to meet so many people with Phelan-McDermid syndrome and their families at the McPosium. And even to this day, it's definitely one of my favorite conferences I've been to. And that experience in the community really stuck with me. So, sort of during this whole time and working in another rare genetic disease space, I just sort of fell in love with this rare disorder community in general. And it's hard to put your finger on it unless you're in it. And so when I had this opportunity and saw this job position, it just felt perfect that I could finally come back to this community. And it's clear that you guys have such a close, tight knit community that is so dedicated in improving the lives of your loved ones and elevating research. It's really hard not to be drawn in.
Yeah, I know I'm a little bit biased, but I couldn't agree more about our community. We are a special group, and it's been, I've seen this said before, but I do feel the same way. Is that it's like the family you never knew you were going to have or were supposed to have, but it's like the family you need, and I think that really rings true for our community. And another fun fact: that was my first conference, the one you attended,
Oh,
but
that's so
I don't
fun.
remember crossing paths with you, so I'm glad that our paths are finally crossing now.
Oh.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So our next question that we have is, how do you envision working together with families to advance research?
I love this question. I think this is because this is one of the most things I'm most excited about in this new CSO position. I really want to get to know the patients and their families kind of behind everything and the research. This is sort of exactly how I started my role at Cincinnati Children's. And I think it's also sort of a message I've also tried to impart in others in the field of you really need to meet families and the individuals of Phelan-McDermid syndrome where they are and sort of be a part of what's going on. You can't really advance science without knowing and meeting the families. And so, it's one of those things that I think whether you're a basic scientist working in the bench, working with mice, or doing brain imaging data, or kind of in the trenches and also doing some clinical work, I think you really need to know who you're researching and who you're working so you can ask those right questions, conduct the best experiments, and really even understand and interpret the data the most meaningfully. So I'm hoping that I can bring families to the table, or at least bring them part of the conversation, so that they are as part of the research that is actually researching them.
Yeah, I love that so much. I think maybe you've experienced this with the Fragile X community or in other aspects of your work and experiences, but our group is often in a lot of different places. And so I think really understanding where they are at is so important, because so many people deal with different aspects of, Phelan-McDermid syndrome, and being able to bring all of that forward to, science and research is so important, so people can really understand what we as the caregivers, deal with on a day to day.
Absolutely.
What are your plans for keeping families regularly informed about this scientific progress, that we're sort of discussing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do have a few ideas and I'm happy to share them, but I actually really want to throw it back to you as family members. I think it's going to be really important to figure out how you, the family members, want to stay informed. I think this is where hopefully my background in clinical psychology comes into play, is sort of like appreciating that we learn and process information in different ways. And I want to lean into that. You family members are really busy. You have your own lives. You're taking care of your children. You have jobs. And so I want to think about things in a way that it can, whether it's multiple formats or platforms. I know Dr. Kate before me had some podcasts. And so, is there a way we can continue that, but also have things in print format or something a little bit more easy and digestible? So I'm sort of here to be your messenger, but also really want to hear from you guys on what the best way to receive that message. And I'm also like a super firm believer in being flexible and trial and error and receiving feedback for you. So if I try something and you don't like it, or you want it altered a little bit, I am more than happy to sort of take that feedback and adjust as need be. So I'm happy for this to be sort of like a learning process for both of us, because in the end, like, you guys are the ones that are receiving the information, and I want to make sure it's the best as possible.
That's great. I think as you, get on board and we continue to start working together, I'd love to really open that conversation up to the community, because I think we're in a place to really better understand how does, our community want to receive that information. And so hopefully we can partner together on that to make sure we're bringing it in, different formats that meet the needs of the Phelan-McDermid syndrome community. That'll be great. Okay, finally, I have one last question for you. And this is my favorite one. What are you most excited about as you begin this role?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I know it's going to sound cheesy, but I really do think it is sort of meeting and getting to know the families that make up the Phelan-McDermid Syndrome family or foundation community. It's one of those things like, how else am I going to learn about Phelan-McDermid syndrome without learning from the experts, which are the individuals and their family members themselves? I'm so grateful that like the virtual world has expanded, and so I have so much more access to families than maybe before. And I've already set a couple meetings up with families, as well as going to see Dr. Liz Berry Kravitz in her Rush clinic, and so trying to dive in right away. And so I'm really excited for that.
I love that. Already hitting the ground running, which is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. This has been really great to hear a little bit more about you. We're really looking forward to everything you're going to bring to the PMSF community. And everyone watching, stay tuned. As I said before, this is just the beginning of opportunities to connect with Lauren and more exciting updates in science and research. So we're so glad that you all joined us, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.